Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror film, Scare Campaign. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts with security cameras showing the morgue. A car arrives outside the morgue and a guard heads inside. The new guard is called George and talks with his coworker, Emma. Emma shows George the ropes on his work in the morgue and arrives at the coroner's workplace. Emma asks if George is easily scared by ghosts and paranormal, and George denies that he is a coward. During their conversation, George notices pieces of hair on the bone saw. As Emma and George finish the work introduction, Emma gives him her number in case anything happens. Emma leaves and George prepares and starts his shift. The following night, a figure is seen in the security feed. George wakes up after the figure buzzes him for entry. George asks for the figure's identity and lets it in. As George heads over to the entrance, he sees a corpse bag in the middle of the hallway. George calls out to the figure who left the body bag in the hallway, but gets no response. George decides to bring the body bag to the coroner's workplace. While bringing the corpse bag, George gets uncomfortable bringing it along. He arrives at the coroner's workplace and leaves the corpse bag. Before George can leave, the corpse inside the bag sits upright. George nervously heads over to check the corpse's condition. The corpse inside the bag shows an Asian woman called Ayako. As George takes a closer look at Ayako's face, Ayako suddenly opens her eyes and scares George. George runs away and heads to his booth, calling for Emma on the phone. Emma answers and asks him what's wrong. George is in a panic, explaining to Emma that the corpse is alive and after him. Emma doesn't believe George, even though he gets more paranoid seeing Ayako flicker in the camera feed. While they're on the phone, Ayako scares George by passing by his booth. George drops his phone from the shock. Right then, Emma calls out to George and shows that she's part of the ongoing prank. The prank is led by a man named Marcus, along with another guy called Dick. Marcus and Dick proceed to scare George more by playing a demonic howling sound. As George snaps under his paranoia, Emma notices him getting a gun. Emma tells Ayako to run, but Ayako can't hear her without an earpiece. Marcus calls the pranking team off because of the emergency. The other team members are introduced as Tony, Susie, and JD. George is in the hallway, prepared to shoot. Tony and Susie are preparing to reveal themselves while filming George. Ayako scares him and gets scared when he aims his gun at her. Before George can shoot Ayako, Emma stops and calms him down while revealing it's a prank. As Emma retrieves the gun, it is revealed to be a rubber gun. The pranking team then reveals to George while he pisses himself. Emma tells George he is on the Scare Campaign, and she leaves while angry at Marcus for this incident. The movie's prologue then shows the Scare Campaign's promotional video. We then see a casting session showing a woman called Abby. She and Marcus have an interview for the position of the new horror girl of the show. Emma heads over to where Marcus and the crew are. When Emma is near, she hears Abby scream during the interview. Marcus introduces Emma to Abby, and Emma congratulates her for the role. Marcus and Emma leave the room to talk but get interrupted by JD new horror ideas. They get interrupted another time when Vicky calls the team for a meeting. They arrive at where Dick edits, and Emma tells Marcus she quits the job. She reasons to Marcus that their pranks are too dangerous. Marcus refutes that she just wants to break up, but Emma is confused to reply. He manages to convince her to keep working for a while before quitting. Then both head over to Vicky's meeting and meet the rest of the crew. Marcus tells the team about the abandoned asylum as their next episode's location. Vicky then arrives and tells them about a popular channel called Masked Freaks. The team makes fun of the rip-off video the channel produces. However, the actual content of the channel is a group of masked figures killing the pranksters. Vicky emphasizes the popularity of the channel and how the Scare Campaign can't compete. She gives the team one more episode to make a comeback, or else they disband. The team is sad about this, but begins writing for a comeback episode. The team then begins preparation for the comeback episode. They set up the asylum with cameras and props for their prank victim. Dick sets up and informs the team that the prank victim is arriving. JD finishes his makeup on Abby as the horror girl. Emma comforts Abby for her first time in her role. Marcus checks on the team and checks the other areas for issues. Emma then approaches Marcus and talks about having no more incidents like before. Both of them then have a romantic time but get interrupted by Dick. As they return to their places, the cameras show the areas inside of the asylum. Marcus and the team then complete the final preparations for the prank. The victim of the prank arrives at the asylum, and they begin their comeback episode. The victim arrives at the garden, where Susie acts naturally as a gardener. Emma and Abby get to their places, and Emma gets into character. Emma greets the prank victim, but gets interrupted by him when he looks for flowers in the garden. The victim of the prank is introduced as Rohan. While Emma is talking to Rohan, he notices Abby up by the window. He loses sight of her when Susie distracts him. Rohan asks Emma if Abby is a patient. Emma tells him that there are no children in the asylum yet. Emma leads Rohan to the office, while Rohan keeps looking for Abby. They both arrive in the office for an interview. Emma asks Rohan about his history in the asylum, while opening a letter from Marcus using a letter opener. Rohan snaps at her for being too nosy and scares Emma. Emma gets a call from Marcus, and she tells him to stop the plan. Marcus convinces her that he is a special case and makes the prank more worth it. Emma tries to dissuade Marcus, but he cuts the call. Emma leaves to take a breather, while Rohan gives her creepy information on the asylum. As Rohan is alone in the office, Marcus and Dick start their prank by playing with Rohan's mind. Dick opens the door remotely and plays sounds to lure Rohan to the next part of the prank. Emma arrives and angrily asks Marcus about hiding Rohan's past employment in the asylum. Marcus reasons to her that it's to make the prank darker and more real. Emma continues to worry about the prank's direction and doubts Marcus for hiding more secrets. Marcus and Dick then lead Rohan in a creepy hallway to Abby and Susie. Susie gets the signal and directs Rohan's attention with a ball to Abby. Abby then lures Rohan to chase her upstairs. They both arrive in an old room with a rocking horse. Tommy is seen hiding within a clothing rack filming Rohan. Rohan looks outside the window and looks at the garden. While his attention is at the garden, Marcus filters his voice and whispers to Rohan. As Rohan is distracted by Marcus, Abby approaches him from behind to scare him. Before Abby can scare him, Emma notices the letter opener from Rohan, which he took from the office. When Abby scares him, the prank has gone wrong, as she gets stabbed by Rohan multiple times. Emma freaks out and tries to save Abby by calling Rohan. However, her voice is on a filter, so Rohan doesn't believe it. So Emma tries to go to Abby while Marcus stops her. They get interrupted when Tony asks for help. Marcus tries to calm Tony down to avoid being spotted. Tony, however, gets spotted and caught by Rohan while running away. Rohan proceeds to choke Tony with a tie he got from the clothing rack. Seeing this, Emma rushes to their location to try and save Abby and Tony. She breaks a display case and picks up a screwdriver. Emma arrives in the room and sees Tony hang dead, and Abby is thrown out the window. Marcus tells her to run away from Rohan, and a chase starts between Emma and Rohan. Emma angrily asks Marcus what Rohan's history is. Marcus tells him that Rohan is a patient in the asylum and went nuts after the prank. Emma curses Marcus and continues to run away. She then notices a camera and asks for direction, but Marcus and Dick don't have a camera installed there. Emma arrives at a locked exit, then she meets Susie. Emma explains to Susie that Rohan went nuts and is on a killing spree. Marcus suddenly interrupts Emma's explanation, and she curses him, separating from Susie. Rohan then breaks the door's window and grabs Susie and slits her throat. Rohan smiles at Emma and chases her again. They both get in a chase where Emma is cornered in a room with a locked door. Rohan catches up to her and grabs an axe to kill her. Before he can kill her, JD saves her and bars the door to keep Rohan outside. JD comforts Emma with the death of Abby, Susie, and Tony. They both then contact Marcus and Dick to call for help. Marcus tries to stall, reasoning this is a good show. Emma gets more furious with Marcus for his selfishness. Their contact then gets unstable when Rohan approaches Marcus and Dick. Rohan proceeds to kill Dick while Marcus runs away. Emma tries to call out to Rohan to stop, but gets cut off from the call. JD decides that they should just run away while they have the chance. Both of them arrive at the team's van and prepare to leave. JD notices that the keys are missing and tries to get a spare. He then separates with Emma, telling her to lock the doors. As Emma waits for JD to return to the van, Rohan appears behind her. Rohan then calls out to her, scaring her, and Emma stabs his hand with a screwdriver. Emma runs out of the van to search for JD. It is then revealed that Emma is the prank victim and Rohan is an actor named Trent. The movie then shows the crew alive, and all of this is an act for Emma's authentic horror. Trent gets mad as the prank goes off script when he gets stabbed with a screwdriver. Marcus tries to calm him down to get Trent back into character and avoid legal issues. Marcus also tells JD to keep Abby company and hide from Emma. As Trent cuts communication, he removes the screwdriver impaled in his hand. While resting in the van, Trent is approached by a masked figure with a camera. Trent, thinking that it's Tony, is caught off guard and gets impaled from behind by another masked figure. Marcus wants to talk with Trent and goes to him while Dick keeps an eye on Emma. JD is headed to Abby when a masked figure trails behind him. Meanwhile, Tony continues to hide on the lower floors away from Emma. Marcus and Dick try to find Susie, but she is nowhere to be found. As Marcus heads out, Dick continues looking for Susie and Emma. He then notices a strange movement on one of the cameras. Thinking it is an error, Dick tries to fix the computer by tapping it. Emma arrives at where JD is supposed to be, but doesn't find him. Before leaving, she hears Dick from the laptop, where JD and her lost contact with Marcus and Dick. Realizing his mistake, Dick cuts the video call and informs Marcus about it. Dick then notices multiple masked figures pointing cameras at him. Suddenly, a masked figure ties his jaw with a control pole and beheads him with it. As Emma sees Dick alive in the video call, she investigates the laptop for clues. She sees that there are recordings behind the scenes of the plans to prank her. Emma becomes furious at Marcus for his lies and she quits the job. The masked figures see this and start to make their move. Marcus arrives at the van and sees that Trent is dead. He calls out to Dick about the emergency and tries to call for help. Seeing that there is no signal, his attention is drawn towards one of the masked figures. Marcus realizes that they're the target of the masked freaks and runs away from them. Emma meets up with Marcus, beating him up for fooling her. Marcus warns her that Trent is dead for real. Emma doesn't believe him as she thinks it's still a lie. A masked figure then appears and she thinks it's another gimmick, but she is proven wrong. Multiple masked figures then approach them, seemingly ready to kill them. However, the masked figures retreat when one of them gets a call from their earpiece. Seeing the danger, Emma tries to save Abby and heads to her with Marcus. They arrive at where JD and Abby were resting, but find JD killed. They check the camera stuck on JD's chest and see that Abby is kidnapped. The leading masked figure orders them to go to the control room to save Abby. As Emma and Marcus head there, Marcus and Emma argue about why this is happening. Emma believes it is karma, but still tries to save Abby. She then arms herself, and they arrive at the control room. They are shocked by the bloody scene and check the computer. Marcus says the camera feed is hacked, so they can't check it. Emma notices that his head is bleeding, but realizes that it is blood dripping from Susie, who is hanging on the ceiling. The feed then shows Tony's location. Emma and Marcus try to warn Tony, but he cannot hear them. A masked figure with a chainsaw then proceeds to shred Tony with it. As Tony dies, the lead masked figure talks about the new entertainment idea of killing pranksters. Emma interrupts the masked figure to ask where Abby is. The masked figures show Emma as they bury Abby alive. Emma realizes where Abby is and heads over to her along with Marcus. As they head over there, one of the masked figures follows them. The masked figure then accidentally reveals itself. As the masked figure threatens them, the buzz-up breaks. Regardless, it's still charged at Emma, which made Emma accidentally kill it instead. Emma unmasks the masked figure and reveals a kid, which shocks both Emma and Marcus. They continue to save Abby and manage to get her out of the coffin. After saving Abby, a lot of masked figures appear and surround them. The masked freaks state that there is no happy ending, but Emma is requested to be kept alive. So the lead masked figure gives her a choice on who to save. Marcus accepts his fate as he lets Emma save Abby. Emma then brings Abby to the van and escapes with her to get help as Marcus gets knocked out. Marcus then wakes up inside the asylum, seeing one of the freaks butchers, presumably one of his friends. He lashes out at the masked freaks for having no creativity, but only cruelty lacking any twist or substance. The masked freaks then reveal that Abby is the insider that betrays the team. Her betrayal is a good twist for Marcus as he is impressed. The masked freaks then incinerate his body. Emma looks nervously at the camera in the van as they are near a town, showing that the prank seems to have not come to an end yet. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.